So you flip the property, now what? Welcome to the Behind the Bricks podcast, where we're going to tell you exactly that. Okay, so you're at the end of your project. You've done the refurbishment, and now you either need to refinance it or you need to sell it on. So when you're selling it on, when do you start that process? And who do you use for that process? Sorry.
Right, okay, so ideally, about a month before it's finished, you're kind of getting it in ready for that. So I would stay in constant contact with estate agents throughout that process.
Yeah.
So you can start to see which one's going to be really good. And then I would...
Because how do you know that they're going to be really good? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for consistency. So ideally, from the start of a project, what I want is a estate agent to come into the property, or three, and to give me their opinion of what they think it's going to be worth when it's done. I'll talk them through what I'm going to do to it and my ideal marketplace.
So price hasn't come into that?
No, not yet, because...
as in the price that they're going to charge you, not the price that they're going to put it up for?
Their price is almost irrelevant as to what they're going to charge me for, really, kind of. They're all going to be about the same in reality.
Okay.
So I wouldn't specifically choose one estate agent purely on price. I would go with who's going to market it the best, who interacts with their clients the best, who's going to give me the best service, and I would be monitoring them from the start of the project.
Yeah. And presumably they've come into your project at the beginning and they've given you some help and advice as to what sort of level of finish that you should put in there, what kind of kitchens, you know, what people are looking for who are going to buy properties in that area, and you've stuck to their plan. So presumably they're going to be pretty happy that with the product that you've given them to sell. Has that always been the case?
Well, I tend to refinance mine and keep them.
Okay.
So
have you not got estate agents in to have a look at selling them on?
Yeah, I do get them in, but I do like to refinance them and keep them. So yeah, generally speaking, I would always personally try and get it as high as it can be for that street. You don't want to go over what it could be potentially, because you'll never get the money back. So you've got to be very careful. Also, if you're doing extensions, about overextending for a street, hitting the top value. So I would be knowing exactly what is the maximum, and I would be aiming for just over that.
So when you're talking about these estate agents, then, you know, all estate agents are going to be fairly similar in that they've got access to Rightmove, they might have access to Zoopla, they might have access to On the Market, but that's what they're doing with the properties. Have you ever considered or have you ever used something like Deal Search on Source.co, because that's out to investors, and you're reaching another market by putting it onto Rightmove, but also putting it out to investors if you're looking to sell it?
Yeah, so if you've got one that you know will rent out, rather than paying, say, 2% to an estate agent, I could list it as a deal myself and basically charge that myself, or if worst case scenario, save that money that I'd be paying.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so now let's look at refinancing. This is your preferred route.
Yeah, definitely.
So talk us through how that's gone for you so far.
So yeah, again, I'm kind of aiming for just over the street maximum. I want to be the one that's pushing it to the boundary, basically, to get the maximum I can, if not a little bit higher.
Because what you're talking about is the surveyor coming in, the surveyor giving it a higher value than the other stuff in the street, which means that the lender will, if the lender's going to lend you 75%, it means that 75% is of a higher number, and therefore you're pulling more money out to pay off the first charge from wherever that's from, and also put some money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Or reduce the amount of money that you've got to keep in the property.
Yes, the more you can get out, the better. I've done ones where I pulled out quite a bit of profit at that point, which is your dream kind of unicorn deal that just really quite hard to find.
Yeah.
Market has switched slightly now, so you've kind of got to leave something in, really.
Yeah, okay. So with the surveyor, what are you doing to try and convince them that they're going to give you the price that you're looking for the property?
Right.
What's your tactic?
Okay, so I try to make their journey in everything to do with me as easy as possible. So first up, when they phone me, I'd offer them a coffee if I was driving there to meet them. Then I would always check I've got a really bold, clear house number. There's nothing worse than pulling up and not being able to find a property.
Yeah.
I would try and enable them to be able to park outside, because they'll have ladders. They want to look in the loft if it's got one. Greet them at the door. I would then also just build rapport as I'm walking around with them. I'll leave them to it.
Top tips, come on. Top tips at building rapport. Show us the extent of your charm.
just
And I realise that we haven't rehearsed this or talked about
No.
this at all. But
Yeah.
go on, I'm a surveyor. You're Tim. How are you?
I would try and pick something that's of interest to them. So, for
Okay.
example, if they turned up in a electric car,
You'd start talking
I've
about
got
that.
a talking point instantly where I've got one. So I would pick
Brilliant.
something that I can instantly say, oh, how do you find your Tesla? Or whatever it is. So I would work from that. And then obviously people let down the barriers. People will open up more to you. And then at that point you can say, oh yeah, the one over the street's just gone on, just been sold for whatever. And then with that, I can justify a slightly higher price if mine's slightly bigger or it's got features that I know that one hasn't.
So in my head, whenever I've got a viewing for a property or anything, you know, a meeting with a surveyor, I've always got like a benchmark in my head of how long I want to try and build rapport for. The reason that I've got that benchmark is that if I get it wrong to start off with and I don't do a good job, I know that I've got to do it for another 10 minutes, for example. So I don't just give up and then think, oh, well, I'm not going to get on with this person. I might as well just go and try and do something else. Because if you persevere for the whole amount of time, then you are more likely to build that rapport. Do you do something similar, or do you just see how it goes?
I see how it goes. What I don't want to do is annoy them and get in their way.
Yeah.
So they'll come in, I'll have a conversation, I'll tell them a couple of little snippets that I feel are important that will help.
After you've built rapport, though, so you've built rapport first, then you tell them the information that they might find useful. Yeah.
Then what I'll do is I'll kind of leave them to it because no one wants someone following them around. And then I'll have another chat with them at the end.
Okay.
It's my kind of...
Overall, standard process takes about how long?
What, for the whole survey or just...
Yeah, whole survey.
Stuff? Whole
Well,
survey.
while you're both there together, how long?
Probably about 15, 20 minutes. It's not long at all.
Yeah, because we're talking about sort of 2-3 bedroom
Yeah.
terrace.
It's just evaluation. Draw a floor plan, look for any major structural issues, have a look around, what kind of condition is it, talk to them about the quality. Right, I've done this because I always like to finish because I want a better tenant and stuff like that. So I kind of try and get that across. So yeah.
So what about putting a survey pack together for the surveyor?
I tend to avoid that. A lot of surveyors almost see that as you telling them how to do their job for them.
Yeah.
So personally, I don't. I'll point things out. The house over the road sold for X amount, like I just mentioned. Or I'll just kind of guide them and say I was hoping for. And again, like I said, I always go for the higher side because the worst case scenario, they go slightly under. If I've gone under in the first place, they're not going above that.
All right. So you're continually pushing them, even in the sort of the information that you're giving them.
Definitely.
So the issue with the survey pack is that you think that they'll be offended by that because you're telling them how to do their jobs.
Yeah.
So you've had that experience, have you?
Not personally. I've had information and they've said, no, I'm fine, thanks. But I've heard other cases where literally they've just gone, I'm not interested, and be quite rude. So I don't want to get into that situation because again, instantly then you're on the back foot then from that point.
So what about when it comes to, and I can understand that from stuff like comparables because that is the main function of what they do. But they're not going to know what kind of finish you're going to put into the house. So would you not put that kind of stuff together? Taps, fixtures, fittings, doors, just anything that you haven't yet put into the house or anything that's going to potentially change the GDV of the property. Would you not put that stuff in or into the survey pack to show them how good your stuff is?
Yeah. No, they can see it. They're touching it. They can feel the door handles. They can see I've got a designer radiator in the kitchen. They can see I've got a central island. So it's very much what I always do is I put in the bathrooms Bluetooth light mirrors. So I'll always check that they're on so it looks nice and it's well presented.
I'm sorry, Bluetooth mirrors?
Yeah, so you can get LED mirrors with Bluetooth speakers and stuff.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So every house I do has a Bluetooth, so you can play music in the shower and light it up. They're really good.
With all like fancy lights and stuff as well, so you can have a disco.
White light, but
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, there's an obvious improvement. We've heard over the last few years that refinancing has taken longer and longer to happen. So roughly for you, when you're going through the process of refinancing, how long is it taking you?
3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, I started it right at the beginning. What I do is, even before I bought the property, I've already spoken to the mortgage broker. I've prepped him up. I've told him what it's going to be worth. He'll do all the figures, check it. I'll get all of my documents across to him within the first 2 weeks of having the property. Everything is processed. literally to the point of it's ready for the valuation, then it's put on hold. Builders crack on, do it all.
Put on hold with who? Who?
With the mortgage.
The broker is putting it on hold, or the mortgage company
the
got it
broker
on hold.
will say, right, we'll let you know when this is ready to have it surveyed.
Right.
So the builders then do their merry work, finish it, and then literally about a day or two before they're finished, just to give them a final kick and a push, I say, right, the surveyor's booked for Monday. I then dress it, and I take photos to list it if I'm keeping it, because that is as clean and as good as it's ever going to get.
Yeah.
And then also get the surveyor around at that point. Valuation, like I say, comes back the next day usually, every time. And then literally it's just the final bit of legals where they just go, yeah, it's all fine and it's good to go. Then you have to have your independent legal advice session, which seems a complete waste of money. And then after that, you've got the money in your bank account.
Great process. Great time to start it again. How long do is the mortgage company generally okay to put it on hold for? I guess that offer's only going to be valid for, 90 days, something like that?
I think it's an okay amount of time, because they've kind of just agreed it in principle. So I think they give you up to, like you say, about 3 months.
Because your refurbs are taking how long? What?
Probably anywhere between 4 weeks and
right.
2.5 months tops.
So you've got plenty of leeway.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good process. So then afterwards, you're refinancing really quickly.
Yep.
You mentioned dressing the property.
Yes.
Why do you take the decision to dress the property? Especially if you're renting it out. These people are going to bring their own furniture, Tim.
They are, but I'll only dress it to a minimal degree. If I know I'm keeping it, renting it out, all I'll do is I'll put some fake plants and flowers and stuff like that, just so that...
Have you got the same fake plants that go into every one of your houses?
Have I told you this?
No.
All right, okay, so what you can do, I've heard, is you can go and buy fake plants and keep the tags on them and just have the tag kind of like so it's not visible.
Yeah.
Do all your photos, and then if you wanted to, you could literally put them back in the bag and take them back to the shop that you got them from.
Wow.
So it's almost like hiring, but without the cost of actually...
Without any cost. The cost is your time of going...
It really is, yeah.
Going to the shop and doing it.
Yeah.
And you feel good about doing that, do you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's showcasing their items.
Well, you should put the tag around the front then, so they can see where they're...
Yeah, true.
No,
But
it's just an accident. It just happens to fall around the back.
Sponsored by.
So apart from fake plants, though...
Yeah, maybe a table, maybe chairs.
Really?
Maybe.
Just to sort of set out how the room is going to be organised.
So in the last one I did, there was going to be a large seating area, so I needed to get that into people's heads, so it didn't just seem this really weird, expansive
Okay.
room. So there I brought down a table that could sit 8, addressed it so that they could see that's the dining area. It just gave some clear definition of what that area was for and why the room was done like that.
Yeah.
Or if there's a breakfast bar, I might buy 3 cheap stools to just slide underneath so people can see, oh yeah, I can imagine sitting there having my breakfast.
So if you're going to go that far, if you're going to say about, people can't visualise what a breakfast bar is going to get used for, so you're going to put stools underneath, why don't you dress the rest of the property as well? Why don't you put the soft furnishings? Why don't you do what you're selling the lifestyle, right? So, the coffee on a tray that goes onto your bed, or strawberries and champagne or something like that, to really
nice
help people visualize the kind of wonderful lifestyle they're going to have in your house.
Yeah, if I was selling it, then I would, because at the moment the rentals market is so crazy.
Yeah,
you don't really need to go to that extent. If you did, I would. You're more likely to for sales because it's a much bigger commitment from someone.
Yeah, but then would you not do that anyway, knowing that the market changes quite a bit, and like you say, that's the best that house is going to look? So if you wanted to have pictures like that you can store for later use, that'd be the best time to take them.
It would. Extra cost, I suppose you'd have to weigh up the extra cost and how likely am I to ever use those photos.
Yeah.
So even if a tenant moves out, I suppose you could think, right, okay, well, if they move out in a year's time, I'll use the same photos. Personally, I'd probably do newer photos because things do change. You might put in new flooring or something like that. So it is it's going to need updating, I think.
So with brand newly refurbished houses, you must be really picky about the kind of tenants that you get into these houses.
Yeah.
Tell us about that process. Do you manage that process? Do you get an estate letting agent to manage that process?
Right.
What happens?
I manage it because I'd worked in a estate agency and I'd done lettings before.
Okay.
I kind of knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
I like to judge people on who they are and how they conduct themselves, as well as what they appear on paper.
Yeah.
So I'll run the credit checks and everything like that, and I'll do the referencing. But in addition to that, I'll also see what they're like as a person and kind of take that into account as well.
So how do you force that situation? Do you just do that on the viewing and like those 10 or 15 minutes that you've got on the viewing is sufficient for you? Or do you...
There's normally a bit of a build-up. So if you've got it advertised, what you'll get is a couple of messages, and you can see, it sounds really bad, but are the sentences, do they make sense? Things like that. So you get a bit of a gist of it. I know other people that go on social media and look at that person's profiles and see if they're partying all the time. And
are you saying you don't do that?
That would be giving away trade secrets.
That's what you're here for.
So you might have a quick glance just to see what kind of a lifestyle they're living. If there's pictures of them like trashing their house, then you're not going to really want to rent to them. So it does.
Have you found that ever, honestly?
There have been people I've eliminated because I've seen their social media.
No way, really?
Yeah. I thought they are going to be nightmare tenants.
How interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So, because you're so picky and so careful with the kind of people that come into your house,
yep.
Have you ever had any problems once they've come in?
No, my tenants are all absolutely lovely. Really, really nice. Even when I'd had an operation, I had one tenant that lives over an hour away offering to bring me food. They're all so nice, really, really friendly, my tenants, and they like the fact I respond really quickly. So if they've got an issue, they know I'll sort it out as soon as humanly possible. So I think that gets you quite a bit of respect.
Okay, so that wasn't this case where the tenant had said, no, you don't come over here, I'll bring you food, I'll bring something for you, I'll come to you, because they wanted to avoid you coming to the house.
No, they knew I couldn't drive and I just had an operation, so they were just being really helpful, thoughtful.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
So we talked about advertising the property on Rightmove. We also talked about putting it out to investors.
Yep.
One of the facilities, one of the things that you've got available here at Sourced is the community that we have, right? Because we've got so many people that are in the franchise that are all pulling in the same direction to try and build their own property portfolio. So have you worked with anybody from within the network, from other franchisees, and joint ventured or done stuff together with them?
We've made offers and things like that, but nothing's actually progressed to an actual joint venture as such. Typically what I'm looking for is kind of quite personal to me because it's for my portfolio.
Yeah.
But there have been offers that I've made as joint ventures with the aim of just flipping that for short profit.
Mm-hmm. And when you were coming into this, because you said that you needed that kind of reassurance, that pat on the back that you were doing the right thing, that you were making good decisions, that you were looking at things in the right way. Did you get together with people from your local area to get to know different places to invest, or get to know areas that you hadn't researched yourself?
To a degree, yeah. Definitely by having conversations with other franchisees, it kind of helped identify hotspots of areas that were going to...
It's easy for you to say.
Apparently not. So yeah, definitely I have had quite a few conversations, and it's opened me up to areas that I wouldn't have necessarily considered.
Tim's advice in this podcast is absolutely brilliant. This is a podcast that you might actually want to listen to more than once. It's a great opportunity for you to learn from his experience and to save yourself potentially thousands and thousands of pounds. This has been the Behind the Bricks podcast. We'll see you next time.